Let's on. Just make sure. Sharing the agenda. All right, those online, Mark, can you guys, Bruce, can you guys see the agenda?
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, both of us.
Okay. All right. Are you a member of the committee?
No, I'm
No.
just
Okay.
observing, because I
So-
was told that you can observe anything.
Yeah, you don't have quorum. So you only have two members.
Want to be part-time?
So, considering we don't have quorum and you only have two members physically present, you can meet, you can discuss, you may not take action. You could choose to cancel the meeting, or you could choose to meet, but you cannot approve anything. Anything that is set for approval will need to be moved to the next meeting. Kathleen Anderson, Susan Atkinson, and your Sherry Brusco. We're missing Cindy Watterson. And Bruce and Mark are online, but we don't have a physical quorum. So if you want, Mark, I don't know if you want to lead the meeting from afar or have your vice chair here take it on.
I would want the vice chair to go ahead and lead the meeting.
Okay.
Call the meeting to
Susan
order.
Atkinson is also, she said, online for this.
Oh, is she? Let me.
It's still not good.
Yeah. I don't know who this person is, but okay. All right, go ahead.
Call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call. Vince Pagetto.
All right, and those online?
Mark Eversman.
And Bruce Blatt.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. For any public comment? Go for it.
Here today,
Just make sure you identify yourself first, please.
I am Sherry Schiller, 10678 Camarillo. I'm here today because I'm interested in, we have so many subcommittees and committees of committees that as an owner here, I have recently found out that I can attend to all these things and gather information on how things work. So I have no agenda. I have no leaning on different issues other than to learn, because I've read everything online and finally we're getting more information online, and I am able to read and I am able to take notes and I have questions. So that's why I'm here. I want everybody to just, I really don't, other than being an owner here, I don't ask anything else other than, and nothing to do, it's raining.
And you have questions?
And I do. I get confused easily. We all do. That's it.
Any questions?
I do.
Well,
I
go
do.
for it. We have
Okay.
time because we can't do a lot more.
Yeah. Oh, okay. My first question is, my understanding that this is a subcommittee of the PPAC Advisory Committee. Is that correct?
Correct.
What does PPAC Advisory Committee stand for? Pelican Preserve.
Advisor.
Oh, exactly what it is. And under that committee, you're a subcommittee of landscape. Mhm. There's a subcommittee of what else?
Ponds.
Ponds. That's Bob Gephardt does that or doesn't do that. No longer does it. He's a GSDD representative.
He is a board of supervisors.
Board of Supervisors, is that his official
He
elected
is an
title?
elected position.
Okay,
There's 5 members of the board of supervisors,
okay,
and the PPAC reports to the board of supervisors and they serve at their discretion.
gotcha. Okay,
So there's a pond subcommittee and
ponds,
there's a safety and security subcommittee.
safety and security, any other?
No,
Nope, that's
it.
all.
3. Safety and security is meeting in this room at 11 o'clock.
Now with Gephardt, Carol Panko is with him too.
Correct.
Yeah, Carol Panko.
Okay, my understanding is, since we have time, is that there was a vote taken by the GSDD, CDD. Okay, Gateway. Can I say Gateway? I'm really bad with
We're all
all
safe.
Gateway. Okay, there was a vote recently that said we are no longer, I didn't understand the vote. What are we no longer associated?
No, they rescinded Title VI, which was an agreement that was 20 years old on how Pelican Preserve was assessed non-ad valorem taxes.
Understood.
And Pelican Preserve only paid 14% of the administrative fees towards Gateway, since all the invoices go to the district and they pay our bills.
Okay, let me see if I understand as an owner. I pay my taxes to Lee County. They take the money, but then they send it to the Gateway
Correct.
to administer it, basically.
Correct.
Okay, and that was an agreement agreed over 20 years ago originally, then it was amended. And that was done because when the original PUD or Planned Urban Development came to be, as is very common in Florida, they needed a way to establish drainage, roads, electricity, power, in order for developers to come and build subdivisions. Am I right?
It wasn't amended, it was removed, rescinded.
That was rescinded
They
Yes,
got rid of it.
without a plan.
yes.
So the money is sitting with Gateway.
So
This, I feel like this topic should be, this is not a topic of the landscape subcommittee. So if we want to talk about that individually afterwards, we can do that. But if there are landscape subcommittee items that need to be discussed, I would say now would be the opportunity. I am from Gateway. I'm the district manager. I am.
Okay, how's the questioning doing?
You're doing great, but it's
Okay.
not landscape subcommittee oriented.
I will be glad to discuss it with you after the meeting.
There you go.
Thank you, because as an
Because
owner here,
I am a PPAC member.
Hey,
As am I.
Good morning.
I just,
Find in the room.
So 3 of us.
Great.
do you have any other questions about anything landscaping related? Okay,
Trees look good, everything good
Yeah.
on your street?
looks good to me.
Okay. Done with the public comments now. The approval of the minutes.
can't do it.
Okay,
Table it.
approved. That's dead. Financial report.
We can go over it if you'd like.
You have.
Yep,
Can I ask a question?
yes. There are none on attached to the agenda, but yes.
So the last meeting, I think we discussed before the meeting ended, who's going to be here for the next meeting?
Mhm.
Was it recorded in the minutes? Who replied that they would be here?
I don't have the minutes attached to this one, but yeah, it was supposed to be. We don't take verbatim, but I'm sure if it was an overview and those people didn't seem to be able to make it today, so. Okay, I can briefly go
But
over the
one-
financial.
If I
Go ahead,
could
Bruce.
just intersect on that one, normally we get an email requesting who's going to attend. I didn't see one for this meeting,
Okay,
so,
I mean, we do that as a courtesy, Bruce. We're not,
Oh.
staff is not required to do that. Your meetings are set and dictated by the committee itself. So, I mean, if you guys set your next meeting agenda and your dates and your times. So, again, that's just a courtesy and staff is not obligated to do that each time.
no, that I could appreciate. I was just saying, that's the reason I guess I wasn't gonna be here no matter what. I'm still up north, but the fact is, we probably could have avoided this meeting if we
Yeah.
all were on the same page. That's all.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I would just like to put in the minutes, I won't be here next month. I won't.
Okay.
My mother's sick.
And I'll be returning in time for the next meeting. So there's one more body.
And
Okay.
I'll call in.
Oh, okay. All right. Anything else, Bruce? If not, we'll move on to the financial report.
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Thanks. So again, this is through August of 2024. We are wrapping up year end right now. This is essentially where you're at. You have overarching, you have 30.7% of your remaining budget. You can see the individual line items, and then you also have your capital items below. And with that, does anybody have any questions?
We will have several invoices coming in for tree trimming, which they should be wrapping up now, which will take a chunk out of the tree trimming area.
Okay. Fabian, yes. Are you,
They were all the poems were completed.
okay.
It was-
Mark Fabian walked in, so he's here to provide an update on behalf of the contractor. If you, do you want to turn that over to him now? You guys want to turn it over to him? So just, you want to introduce yourself and speak louder?
Yes. My name is Fabian with the Mayorscape. Overseeing the project currently, and I'm supposed to provide an update.
Just kind of general update of where you guys are at, what's going on.
Okay. So we're just coming out of the summer schedule. We'll be completed with the summer schedule in October. That's our last month. Then we'll be going into the winter schedule. We just completed all of the tree trimming that was scheduled for this year, which is the sable palms. Due to the current storm conditions that were affecting us right now, I did just come from the pump station. I shut down the water for all the master, and I'm going to be reevaluating on Monday. More than likely, I'm going to turn it back on. I just want to make sure that there's no problems with any tornadoes, anything going on. I don't want any mainline breaking, and we're not going to be able to respond to them if the storms, get bad. We're not anticipating any damage, major damage, and any minor debris. We'll have crews in here tomorrow, weather permitting, picking it up.
So this is Sherry Briscoe. Has the neighborhood HOAs know that all the water pumps?
I just emailed Yannabelle,
Okay,
and she generally, I just spoke to her prior to coming to this meeting.
Okay.
That was part of the confusion. So she'll be sending something out to all of the presidents.
okay, perfect.
Yeah. And typically that's how I've been communicating. I think that's how it was done in the past previously. Okay. So that's how it'll continue. And anytime that there's any changes affecting the entire community, I have been keeping her informed. And I believe tomorrow they're having a president's meeting. So I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure we'll have more updates or any issues that have been having communication can be addressed there.
This is Sherry Briscoe again. Fabian, I have a pet peeve about the front gate. Is there any way your crews can stop by and pick up palm fronds that like fall during the day? I can't tell you how many times I go out there and there's palm fronds that are sitting there right by the roadside. I mean, I would love to keep our front gate, our entranceway always pristine. I mean, it is the first thing you come into the development, and what is it to stop the truck and just throw a palm frond into the truck and leave, especially on the weekends.
I
We
can
do
make
get
a
a lot
note.
of visitors.
I can make a note of that and definitely keep an eye on that. I'm
Okay.
pretty much on property daily, so that's something that I can address, and then I'll make sure the crew goes through their end of day, because we do come in on property for our contracts, picking up debris end of week. So I'll make sure. I haven't noticed that, so I don't know at what point the crews are picking it up, so.
I don't know either. I
I'll
just know I
just start
work from
paying
home,
attention to it, yeah.
so I'm not out in and out every day. But I do know it's sitting like right by the roadside, and it'd be so easy for them to stop and just keep the front entrance looking good. Second thing is Aviano Park. Probably seen some of the tickets that I've sent in recently. The sprinkler system, the irrigation was off on a different cycle during the day. It's very swampy out there. Your crews did come up and clean it up, trim the bushes and everything. It looks great. Thank you. So they're they're trying to clean up the park, and I appreciate that because it's gone by the wayside couple months now.
And there is,
Aviano Park, isn't that gonna be transferred to?
October 1st to the master, and I've already talked to Faye about it because I wanted to make sure that it is mulch like we were doing with Gateway twice a year. So she was going to look into the budget to make sure that was budgeted. So
Does anybody have anything else for Fabian?
Yes, I do. This is Bruce. Two things, one not so good, one very good. A week ago Sunday, I got a text from a homeowner complaining that the sprinkler system along Prado was running for what they thought at least 3 days without turning off. So the good thing is I called your emergency number. I also called the emergency number for Gateway, and this was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. And by 5 o'clock, the issue was resolved. So I don't know if Gateway called you guys directly. I did speak to a representative of Meriscape. They did return my phone call and I explained the issue. So I appreciate that. So that was well done on your part. But the second issue that isn't so good, I was back at Pelican the weekend of August 25th. I put a ticket in on the 29th about a broken sprinkler head on Cypress. And just this Monday, did I get a ticket showing it was resolved. So I have no idea if it continued to be at a service from August 29th, or somebody just forgot to resolve the ticket. But I don't think me as a resident or a member of this committee has to be constantly overseeing the lack of follow-up. And who knows how long that sprinkler head was broken. Hopefully it was resolved within a day or so. And this was just a matter of someone being lax in resolving the ticket. So that's the only criticism and comment or compliment, I should say, as far as your work. So I appreciate the good thing, but I don't appreciate the bad thing.
I can actually comment to that. Thank you, obviously, for mentioning the positive. And as far as for area for improvement, we did switch out that irrigation tech this week because we were having, he's going out and making repairs, but he's not updating the ticket system, the current technician. He's not great with technology. Unfortunately, he is good with work when we give it to him, and the lists and the addresses and the tickets. He was not good at updating them. So we were having problems with communities and the timeliness. Your same concern was brought to us. So we have switched it, and that's why you got the update. It was because he was going through and following up and updating all of his tickets. Now, moving forward, the person who did update the ticket is going to be the one doing the tickets more regularly, or they're going to be assigned to him. So he's really good with the ticket system and getting updates and getting estimates out and follow-ups. So he's not only good at doing the on-site work, but he's actually good with the communication. So that has been addressed.
I appreciate you addressing the issue. Thank you.
This is Sherry Brusco. First of all, Fabian, thank you for coming here. We appreciate you showing up and filling us in what's going on. Second thing is, has a new manager been assigned to Pelican Facility?
As of right now, no. I'm currently filling that position.
Okay.
And from the people that I have spoken to, that is part of the plan.
Okay.
I want to get my hands around it because Javier was maintaining this for so long that we want to be able to train the next person properly. So I was the previous manager of this community before I was promoted, demoted, however you want to look at it.
Gotcha.
So I'm the one with the most experience. So I want to get, and I have a lot of the same relationships with a lot of the managers. And so because I was here previously and I was assisting Javier. So that's the game plan. I want to take care of it for the next 2 to 3 months
Okay,
until we
perfect.
start hiring a manager, because I don't know, I won't know what the requirements are for them until I get my feet wet and
So we appreciate transparency and open communication. So, feel free to call, Mark or any of us on the board if there's any problems, so we want to work with you so we get a positive outcome. We were spinning wheels
Yeah.
before.
I think,
So I've seen some improvements. I've seen fast response from my tickets that I've put in, and I truly appreciate that.
yeah, thank you. And I think it was just a lot of confusion previously, and our office was dealing with the management, and they thought they were getting addressed in the way, but now I did have a meeting with Chelsea and her team, and Mark was there via phone line. And I feel Mark can speak to it when he gets there, but the lines of communications have been opened. I've been speaking directly with Chelsea and her team, her staff. I think a lot of it was just, I agree. There was a lot of spinning of wheels, and that was a frustration that came out in that meeting. But to me, it was all simple fixes, and it was all just communication, increased communication. And the guys that are doing the tickets, they're actually asking questions.
Good.
So instead of just ignoring it because they don't know the answer, they're reaching out to the team, and then now I've got a good relationship with them as well. So there's things that just couldn't be done, but now I think the lines of communication. So thank you for noticing that, and
Absolutely.
I expect it to get better.
That's great. So we were asking the last manager if we could get weekly reports on the tickets, because we have no idea whether they're open-ended. We've got 7 members on this committee, and everyone might be putting in duplicate, or looking at it saying, well, somebody probably already did that. Is there a way that this committee could get a weekly report?
Yes, I think. Do we send that to you?
So as of right now, at the district's request, it's probably been 2 or 3 months ago that you guys started sending us the weekly ticketing.
Okay.
And I believe it does go to Mark as well. But I think that all ties into it. I think, yes, we can send it to you guys directly. I think part of that is this committee needs to figure out your zones. And I think there was conversations that maybe in previous meetings about, who's going to handle, so there isn't a duplication of efforts, because not only 2 people putting in the same ticket on the volunteer side, that's only going to, further confuse the vendor. And so we want to make sure we're streamlining our communication. We had a great meeting. I really think it was a great meeting. Obviously Mark is the main point of contact with Fabian and the team. We have the ticketing system. They know that they can reach out. Mark's been away. His team reached out, just wanting to confirm that POs were issued on certain things. So, we handled that with staff, confirmed with Mark, sent them on their merry way. I think the lines of communication have greatly opened up, and we continue to, strengthen those over time. But Marissa, she sends those to us now.
Yeah, and we can add a person if we need to, but
my concern with that is maybe we need to talk through that internally, because I want one main point of contact with Fabian and his team. And so what I don't want happening is it goes to the entire group, and Sherry, you email back saying, well, what about this? And then, Vince emails saying, well, what about this? And that's not my goal, because that's too many people directing the contractor. So we'll talk through that. But I think getting the ticket, that stuff to you all, absolutely, we can do that.
Yeah, and I think for us committee, it's just information only.
Absolutely.
Mark could be the spearhead, or if he assigns someone to the irrigation to run with it, then that is the person that would be with you and Fabian.
Yeah, for our internal, organization, the ticketing system, if it's a Mainscape or if it's a Meriscape, I don't care who it is, that is how we are holding the contractor accountable. Perfect. So that's where everybody can see the CSRs being put in. That's where we can see when they're being closed, what comments are being made. So that is the official, in my eyes, on Mainscape side too, of how we are monitoring the performance of the vendor.
Okay, and that's great. So we're working on doing sections within Pelican Reserve, and each committee member is going to be assigned a section who's going to be responsible just to go out and look. Right now, we're going all over the place. So just to let you know, that's what we're talking about. We have the map, but we haven't done the sections yet because we're waiting for the entire committee to get together later this year. And then we can all work out and just, you know, break up into sections.
So, and obviously you see some pink flags sitting on the table here. So we're empowering our committee members to notify you guys via pink flags and through the ticketing of any
I think that was,
irrigation.
yeah, that would definitely help just because descriptions are hard in common areas.
Mhm.
So that's great. We love that.
Well, your ticket system is wonderful. I do have to say that. It is great. So keep it going.
Okay, thank you.
So I have another question. So did he happen to leave any infrastructure on the irrigation system that you could share with us?
That's been handed over to you guys.
We're
we have.
working on it.
Yeah.
So they provided on the big map, Javier marked, notated, you know, where certain valves were, things like that. That map has since been given to Passarella. We're waiting on the new fiscal year because of the new budget.
Sure.
And so Passarella will be putting that in, layering that onto your guys' GIS system.
Awesome.
There's still a lot of things that we have to figure out. Main lines, laterals, all of that. I think he mainly provided the controller locations and some valves that he knew, but I don't think we got
So
the
we basically, to answer your question, we gave everything that Javier has, both Javier's and all of my irrigation team. So they kind of, we passed it around to everybody and they added all the information that they knew that, and basically history. We don't have any infrastructure underground main lines. Like we know which way the main lines run, but there's no drawings of it. If we were to add them, it probably wouldn't be accurate because it's
as bounds.
You want to do, you know, GIS maps. That wouldn't be, I'm going to give you general, hey, we know the main line runs from here,
Okay.
you know, so, but yeah, we know everything that's above ground. And
Okay.
that's the information that we were able to provide. There are gate valves that we do use to shut down and isolate the system when there are mainline breaks. And those are the ones that we added on there as well.
Perfect.
So all of that has been handed over. It's been a lengthy time because we had to go through several people to get all this information. Everybody knew a little bit of the pie. Now they have the whole pie.
That's awesome.
I know the irrigation line runs a mile an hour.
Oh, lucky you. One more question that I know of. Quotes. So I'm working on one of the monuments and I had sent in a ticket. I didn't know how else to do it. A quote for a design that I had come up with. Is that the proper procedure for quotes to Ameriscape? How do you want me to? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Because I have
Yes.
not heard back. And it's been probably over a week. Not even a response that I've received this. Well, we're going to work on it. We'll get to.
So that is one of the conversations that we had at our meeting with Mark and Fabian and his team, is the turnaround and the expectation of quotes. I think we walked away, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark and Fabian, that 30 days would be the turnaround time on quotes because we don't know what they have to do on their side to, you know, get I think the irrigation lids was a perfect example. They had to go inventory it all. They had to get measurements, sizes, counts, go shop for it, price it, send it to us. So I think a 30-day timeline was for any quotes that you request, that is the expectation moving forward.
And that's fine. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get a response.
Mhm.
So I didn't know if it went into a big black hole and I had to do a different process.
Okay.
I'll have to check and I'll make a note of that because I don't know who it was assigned to. Because if it wasn't assigned to me, then it could be sitting on somebody else's queue. I just want to make sure that it was assigned to the.
Why don't you give that, if you don't mind, give that to Fabian. That's, keep that.
Shrubs.
Little plants, the little tiny plants. If you want to take a picture or take it with you, that's totally fine.
I can scan it. Thank you.
So for information for this subcommittee,
Mhm.
Monticello gets a monthly report from Ameriscape, and
Okay.
it does list all the tickets in Monticello.
We get that same monthly report, which is provided in Daniel Potter's Public Works update, his monthly report that goes to the board, the second meeting of each board meeting, but we have since asked for weekly updates from Ameriscape, which
Yeah.
they have been providing, so. All right, does anybody else have any other questions for Fabian before he heads off? We don't want to, I'm sure you've got a busy day.
One more question.
You said that 2 times, no, I was kidding.
When you do get the new manager, can you bring the interview?
Oh, yes, definitely, definitely.
So we,
And I'm gonna be the one that will be personally training.
okay,
And that's, so yeah, I'll be hands-on. That's how it was when I introduced Javier
okay.
years ago. I was the main point of contact and I was the one that did the onboarding, and
Right.
I won't just turn over because it's
Let them loose.
yeah, there's too many moving parts here in Pelican.
Yes,
Um,
there it is. Wait.
Boundaries alone it takes somebody 3 or 4 months to get familiar with the boundaries.
Super.
One quick one. Is that your son Fabian Jr.?
Yes.
Good kid.
Oh, okay,
I've
great.
been dealing with him with the job on the wall.
Yeah.
Good
Oh,
kid.
okay, awesome, yeah.
Yeah, really
Which
good.
looks great, by the way.
It does.
He
It actually, it really
gets
does.
back to me. We meet out there.
Transparency and open communication.
Well, and that's,
It's all
not, I mean, Javier's my brother-in-law, so I'm not gonna, say anything negative about, but his downfall, and I'll say that to his face, he likes to hang on to everything. He doesn't like to let people help him. So now, when in his absence, we couldn't just give all his workload to one person, so many people have gotten his responsibilities. So that's why you see the improvement. It's not that, it's just that now there's 4 different people doing what he was doing, and so they're staying in their lane instead of waiting for one person to answer 100 questions. Now it's each person has their own responsibility, so
Super.
more efficient, more thing around.
Thank
love
you
it.
for stopping in.
Thank you,
very
guys.
much.
I just can't.
To the item, the gate valve on tree line.
Yep, we'll talk about it.
Is that, has a 4-inch, but is that truly the main line? Because
That's the main line that runs along,
it's 4-inch.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, when it's in, along Pelican Preserve Boulevard, it goes from 12 to 8, 6, 4, and that's the furthest part from the pumping station. So that's the way hydraulics work. You can't have
No, I know.
16-inch main line out that far.
The as-bills on tree line show about 3 places where there are 3 and 4-inch taps off of the main line. Doesn't specify what the main line was, but I was surprised that it's a 4-inch main line up there.
Yeah, that's the furthest. So that makes sense. Most of the communities run 4-inch main line loop throughout the whole, but
Lateral's not main line.
no, lateral lines are, the valves are 2-inch, so you gotta be smaller than that on the
Okay.
lateral lines.
Different terminology.
Yeah.
A sub main. The main irrigation main typically is a 10, 16 higher than that. And then normally there are you have either sub mains I've seen, or laterals are completely different. Those are like your service line. Yeah.
Irrigation conceptual plan showed an 8-inch main on the line. So didn't show any changes in it.
Yeah, and it very well could be on tree line closer to the T intersection.
And then it just didn't show any.
And the only way we know is when we
Dig
dig
it.
and find out,
Yeah.
unfortunately, but yeah,
Okay,
they,
so they've got some reduction in that main line, because we haven't found the construction drawings for the actual main line.
I know closer to the guardhouse, I believe that it was, a 12-inch main line that bust before. I know because what our guys did, the crew we had then couldn't work on it, so we had to bring in another outside firm to help us with that project. And that did break.
I just hadn't seen any of the other drawings that I found where the main line was a 4-inch, so
Yeah,
that just surprised me.
yeah, so
See what
all the
happens.
communities, like the sub associations, those are all 4-inch main lines that run back there.
Fine. All right.
All right,
Thanks for coming
you so
in.
much.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I saw him in the hallway looking around. I should have. Question with the budget. This is Sherry Briscoe. with the budget, the money that has not been spent by the end of September 30th,
Mhm.
that's money that's going to be rolled over into the new budget. Is that correct?
It will roll into a landscape reserve line item. So you see down here, you guys have,
I see it at the bottom.
so any unspent funds, once we close out year end and have all of these straggler invoices that come in and pay them out, they'll go into these landscape reserves line item as dictated by PPAC.
And that will stay in the landscaping fund.
Yes.
Okay.
Nope. PPAC has the right.
Just trying to understand.
If we don't,
To move it
That's good.
as they see
You don't
fit.
Use it or lose it. Type.
Hold that up, Chelsea.
Yeah, the 294.
For the 25 budget, PPAC is pulling the 294 to keep our assessments down. So, but then what you have left over from the 24 budget will roll down into your reserve.
Okay.
And
Right.
this format, I believe, is Laura on the line.
Nope.
Okay,
You only get one staff member.
good. I like it. The monuments, capital, the monument, capital lighting, the monument, or capital landscape, they're all rolled up top now.
Okay.
This will be, September should be the last month you see that. There's no capital. Yeah, it's all.
Okay. Anything else for finance?
next in line, your items for discussion.
Well, the Casella one, that was a request from, I believe, the Casella community. So you can't take, considering you don't have,
Can't do
you
that.
can't take action. You can discuss it now if you want, or you can wait till your next meeting, but
I think we're gonna have to roll it over to the next meeting.
Chelsea,
yeah.
I have a question. In the past, I've approved things like this. Just if we have money in the budget and it makes sense, I've been able to approve these things
Yeah.
without necessarily bringing it to, can I still do that?
Yeah, yes, that's my understanding of what the process was.
So it would be so both Karina and Casella came to us over a month ago. And I said, you're not going to get this done before this year's fiscal budget ends, which would be the end of this month. I said, please submit in September. We'll approve it for the next budget year, starting in October. And so I would like to go ahead and just tell them that they can proceed with these and officially approve them. You have a problem with that?
My understanding, just so we're clear, my understanding of what the process was with this committee is that this committee has delegated the authority to Mr. Eversman to review these up to the budgeted funded amount, and then anything beyond the budgeted fund amount would have to come in front of this committee. And as long as we're still clear with that status,
Say that again, Chelsea.
that this committee has delegated the authority for any of these type of monument requests up to, I think the policies to 2,500, has delegated, go ahead, Mark.
No, I'm just saying correct.
Okay, has delegated the authority to Mark that if these come in, he has the authority to approve
I did hear that.
until they run out of money, until that budget line item is out, and then it'll have to come back to the committee. And if you choose to move money or just reject and move them to the next fiscal year.
And to that end, they have a spreadsheet, Kathleen Anderson's name, approved. So that you don't have the same neighborhood.
Yep.
Coming up year after year. And again, that'll be at Mark's discretion. This was supposed to be revised today, with Kathleen Anderson at the last minute, which is why I'm scrambling to get here. Couldn't make the meeting.
I believe that file is in the SharePoint site for this committee. I believe so. If it's,
Yeah, I was told it
There's
was in
been a
there.
couple of different versions of it.
okay,
And right now, Mark is working on
okay.
it. And for those of you that have looked at it, not familiar with it, particularly as it related to lighting at the monuments. Mark has some dates in here that they're completed.
You said Mark, you mean Mark Rothenberg, staff,
Has some
Mark.
dates that the things were completed, but he doesn't know when they were done. They were done before we started this program. So when they have a date and they're completed, that means that the staff did it.
And that is a staff generated, or I think you, Bob, assisted with the formation of that, and that is in your SharePoint site. So, all right. So
Who's the only person who can manipulate that? The data.
staff. Oh, anybody who has access to it?
This group,
All of them.
that's probably.
But there with SharePoint, there is version control, and we can go back to previous versions, and I can see who made edits, and we can reverse anything. Okay. So Mark, this is totally your call with moving forward with that for next fiscal.
Okay, they've been waiting patiently, and there's no question that there's money in the budget since we're starting a new fiscal year. So I would like to go ahead, and they probably won't get it done before the next month anyway. So, but I would like to give them the ability to proceed at this point. I did have two other questions, as long as we're on this topic. And since Bob is there, he could probably chime in. We have two requests that we have made to Ameriscape for quotes that we've been waiting on for a long time. And we finally got them in. And one I consider a little bit of a safety issue. And it's the lids in the boxes that are broken out in our area that we're responsible for, where if anybody stepped on them or anything like that, somebody's going to be liable. They finally got me a quote on repairing all those. And it turned out there's 16 boxes and 3 lids. And the amount is $2,025. I would like to ask them to go ahead and start that for liability purposes to get that done and taken care of.
So because this committee does not have quorum, you can't vote, but as the district manager, and you're vocalizing that to be a safety concern, I would strongly recommend that you proceed with that.
Okay. The other one is, which we can wait on because we've waited over a year on this so far, is to convert all the monument sprinkling systems to a drip system, which will alleviate all the staining on the monuments. I had a discussion with Fabian yesterday. This can be done for $450 a monument. So it actually comes out to $17,100. So it's not insignificant, but it will get rid of the staining on all the monuments that issue. And any upkeep on those drip systems, I confirmed with him yesterday, would be covered under the maintenance of our contract. So we will not get continually billed for upkeeping that system. So I don't know what the opinion is, if we want to have a discussion on that.
Regardless, if you take action, it'll have to come back at your next meeting.
Okay.
But I mean, you guys are more than welcome to discuss.
This is Marty Mantonfeld speaking. So what's changed? Because we previously identified this with Javier, and he said that he could not convert the monuments to drip systems, that he was going to look at different sprinkler heads. So what's changed?
I asked the same question to Fabian, and they said they got their text together and have decided that a drip system will be adequate for the monuments.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question about the repairs and replacement of covers. Once these are repaired and new covers are on it, after the fact, when they cut them up again with their lawnmowers, are they finally going to be responsible for them instead of us paying for them?
Should be
That I'm,
according to the contract.
but they're in such bad shape that, but after they're fixed, they have to be responsible, and we have to keep after them. Because this, the only people cutting them up is them.
Mark, did you review the contract to see what they're obligated? With the
Basically, the problem we run into with that is you get the guy standing there go, "Oh, I didn't do that."
Yeah.
I mean, who else would have done it? But then it runs into everybody's pointing fingers. It seems a difficult position to be in, to prove guilt, even though nobody else is out there running around on a lawnmower.
So it's gray, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay.
Could we add a requirement? It's Bob.
Could we add a requirement to the contract that they must report it monthly if they find one?
I think it states, basically you have to repair any openings.
And when you need
So-
to maybe change that language.
So perhaps let's go back and review the contract, and just check the language. But either way, if it's a safety concern, I mean, it needs to be repaired if we have to foot the bill or if they're obligated to make the necessary repairs.
Is this a problem in Gateway too?
It's
been a
one
long-standing problem.
one off. It's one off every now and then. We don't have 16 like you guys do. I mean, every now and then we'll get a complaint.
I think 16 is the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, okay.
I think there's
I went the entire area and I found a lot more than that.
Yeah. That's why I was saying we ought to make a requirement of whoever the contractor is in our next contract, that they report on that status.
And this is Sherry Briscoe, and when we divide up into sections, us as landscaping committee members, we can look at our section and we can also stay on it and put it in the ticket and then they can come out. Because I don't think people that are on the lawnmowers are going to stop and,
Well, it's most
Document it.
often from the Lanai cage or to the pool, rather than in between the homes. I don't know why that is, but that's the way I've seen it. And occasionally in the front door.
I know I've murdered my irrigation box head cover like twice. $25 on Amazon. Got a new one.
Don't hit it.
Zero turn. It's tilted a little bit. I know. I can see how these guys hit them. I get it. I did it myself.
So can we look at the contract?
Mark, I'll make it a point to have Nathan look at the contract and follow up with you. And if it's blatant in the contract that it's, black and white, we'll hold Ameriscape accountable. But if it's gray, I agree with you. Then, maybe we eat it this time, but hold them accountable moving forward.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we're going to
This
do.
This is Bruce. One comment, I think regardless of who wins the new contract, we all have to familiarize ourselves with the contract. Because in reviewing the present contract, Javier and I were always at heads about a spot on Prado where one of his mowers dug up a good patch of grass. And I saw it, I witnessed it. So this is a prime example of them getting caught. And not until I read the contract did it show that if there was damage done, any sod they put down had to be clean cut and a certain dimension. I don't recall it off the top of my head. What he did, Javier, when he was working elsewhere, and I assume maybe working on private homes within Pelican, all the odd cuts were the repair job. So right there, we got beat out of what was contractual. So I think each of us as members of the committee really have to familiarize ourselves for such instances where he just basically beat us because he basically, I believe, billed us for that repair job and it wasn't rightfully done. So I think it's important for each of us to familiarize ourselves with that contract and not necessarily rely on Gateway Services to be our overseers.
So I'll give you another example. Our district staff had requested a quote from Ameriscape on the emergency access road. The trees are kind of overhanging and it's starting to obstruct the road. In reviewing the contract, they're obligated 15 feet vertical clearance, and they had provided a proposal, and I responded saying, we're not approving this proposal. You need to meet the contract obligations. I have not been back through the access road, but I will follow up with staff. But that's another perfect example, like Bruce was saying, that definitely with the existing contract for sure, but with the new one, I strongly recommend you have that printed and have it, ready, because I am very straightforward, and I expressed that to Fabian when we met with him, that the contract's the contract's the contract. If you don't like the contract, make a suggestion, we'll amend it as long as we agree to it.
To Bruce and Sherry's point, when we get these zone identifiers, they will know.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And he tried to pull the same thing on us along Pelican Parkway. where I think it's 8 feet. And he said, oh, it needed thinning out and all this, and he billed us. So, you know, this is something, Javier and I didn't get along very well, because whenever I saw him, I would actually pull up in front of him so he couldn't drive away from me. So I hopefully with Javier gone, I know he is starting up his own company. If he does win the bid under the new company, we have to remember his past experience. So, or any vendor for that matter. So I think with the new committee, you know, we're only in existence, what, about 2.5 years, maybe. We really have to become the stalwarts of that contract. More eyes are better. So we're just gonna have to be more proactive as each, each member has to be more proactive. Or I hate to sound so blunt, you shouldn't be on the committee. You're here for the good of the community, not for the good of your house or your sub-community. So we really got to step up our game and not allow the wool to be pulled over our eyes. It's got to stop.
This is Nancy Smith. I do have one comment. When I sat on this committee and we reviewed the contract, it appeared to me, short of me and possibly one other person, that nobody really went through and read it. Because I had a lot of comments, as you also remember. So I agree with what's being said here. Please make sure that you know it inside and out.
Agreed. You good, Bruce?
No, I absolutely agree. I do remember Nancy picking it apart, but we need 100% compliance on the part of our members, because in all honesty, I'm getting tired of hearing from residents as though we're not doing our job, when I think we all are on behalf of them. So, so there's no room for any complaints. We just need to familiarize ourselves with the contract and not allow any vendor, regardless if it's the new one, Ameriscape, to allow it to go on. For years it had been. I was on the previous landscape committee with Joe Schofield. We really didn't have any power to voice our opinion. So it's time now that everybody wakes up to the fact that there's a new sheriff in town and that we're going to take care of business.
All right. Do you guys want to jump to the Carina one before we go into the landscape contract draft? Because you guys can give input and feedback, and I can pull it up and we can go, section by section. That's what I think we've done in the past with the access control one with safety and security.
Safety and security, whatever, every line, every word,
Mhm.
laborious, took some time,
Mhm.
but the comments here, everybody knows what's it.
Mark, as part of the request that you were talking about earlier, did that include the Carina one?
Yes, it did.
Okay, so then you're just going to proceed like you usually do, right?
Yep, I'll take care
Okay.
of it.
All right, perfect. So the gate valve, I'll just jump over that one. Oh, sorry.
Jerry Briscoe, quick question on monuments. When are we gonna start painting again? I'm hearing a lot of rumbling.
And the
about-
dry season. Probably,
So once,
what are we? Probably November is we'll start back up.
Okay.
But as staff are going through, and that was one of the items on here, was the lighting replacement. We've run out of the inventory that Daniel had procured a couple months ago, and so we need to procure more. You guys can't approve it in this meeting, so we'll have to take it to the next meeting. But as they're going through, they're not just painting, they're pressure washing, they're painting, they're looking at the lights. And depending on what you guys choose to do with the drip lines, what an opportune time to do it.
because the one that I'm working on is the first one on the left
Yeah.
after the guard gate. So that's a perfect opportunity if we want to get it all done, re-landscape, new lights, new landscaping, new drip.
Yep.
And paint it.
Sequential.
And then that's the first one that you come in, everybody's gonna see
If you
it.
fix the lights first, and then you fix the drip,
Mhm.
then you're ready, then you can do your landscaping and paint.
Right, so we could use this one here as a set example of everything being done. And that could be, December, whatever.
Yeah.
But that might be a good.
With the
template.
rains right now with staff,
You can.
they're focusing on the pressure washing right now. That's what they've been doing. They're normally here in the first part of the week. But they're pressure washing sidewalks now. Hopefully once the rain stops, they'll be able to get back out here and tackle the monument painting.
So another question, so I have a person and he told me in my driveway, I've got the rust stains.
Mhm.
He said he can get them up, no problem. Have you heard that before? And also with the monuments around the outside rim, they're all, like the one I'm working on, has a lot of rust stains. Is that something that Gateway?
We
do they
have,
do
Not to a
pressure
driveway.
washing?
not to, yeah, I mean,
Not a driveway, no, I'm talking around the monument, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So-
Around the monument, it has a lot of rust stains.
They'll be taken care of when they
so
go to repaint.
we have some stuff that we use to
Okay.
spray. If that gentleman has something that he knows that he's used and it has been successful, send us an email, send us a
Okay.
note, and I can get it to Mark and he can look at it. I don't think that until you change the irrigation, the rust stains aren't ever gonna go
They
away.
just come right back.
But-
You can paint,
But
you can
if we're
paint it.
taking away the spray nozzles, and we're
Well,
going to
that's why the
address
sequence
this,
is
so
Do the spray
that's-
first. then
that's,
light.
yeah. because that- I hate to beautify
We've
that
been in a
whole
circle.
monument, and then you have the rust, the
We've been-
curving,
we've
that's
been
all
in a circle.
rusty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's gotta go.
And-
he's gonna be doing my driveway, my sidewalk,
Mhm.
so if it does come up, I'll try to find out what he uses.
Yeah,
And
perfect.
then I'll share it with you
It'd be
guys.
interesting because what he might use on a driveway, what they use on a monument, your driveway stuff might kill all the plants in the monument.
Right,
Or-
well, that's what I'm saying, it would have to be a step process. So, you take all the plants out, right? And then you pressure wash and paint, then you do the drip system, and then you do the pressure washing, and then you put the new
Well,
plants in.
and truth be told, all of this may wait until after the holidays because you put holiday decor, on all of the monuments in the month of December and,
And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I just hate to do one step and then a couple months you're back in there and you're
There's
doing all, you're stomping on all the plants that are brand new and you're trying to pressure wash and
staff's got the method. So we're
Okay.
clear on what the process is.
perfect.
And a lot of the monuments need repair work too.
Yes, and they're doing that
Wow.
as they touch them.
Okay,
And
For
just a
cracks and
reminder,
stuff?
like, the work of the staff on whatever it is they're doing in Pelican, primarily determined by the three subsystem chairs. Give suggestions to staff as to what to work on.
right.
And right now, you guys are the only thing that work on it.
Yeah.
So you're getting all the time. The ponds will get some things in there,
Mhm.
so we'll safety. But we've got to say, it won't stop. It's gonna be 40 hours a week from now to forever.
Perfect.
Got a question, Jay Gann. The painting the monuments, I don't know if it's related or not, but the front ones, right on the entrance, it still has the center, it has not been painted white to match all these other.
Because the paint won't adhere to it.
Okay, there's chemicals put on to
That
take
was
it
your,
off.
that was your baby.
It was my baby, and I have been remiss in the fact that even though that's stone, I do believe that it can be stained. So I'm gonna put that back on my list. Apologies, and if it's okay, and it's all right for me to come back to the next meeting next month and report out on that, I'd be happy to do it.
Perfect.
And there are sealers that you put on.
But for some reason, she was told by the painting company that
He'll sand.
it'll look worse than ever. So that's why it was.
Is that what they
I don't
call
have
it?
I don't have the detail. Sorry.
How different is it?
I had some too, where I had. When I stuck.
So if we're done with those, I'll just jump on the next topic real quick, the gate valve, before we jump back to the contract, because that's going to take some time. So, give you a little backstory. City of Fort Myers had a couple water main breaks along tree line. We all know about those. The one furthest up on the right-hand side, right before the turn lane into the commercial plaza right there. It was brought to our attention that had been broken for some time. We had reached out. The city had told us at the time of the water main break that they would perform any necessary repairs. That didn't happen. A month passed. Had it been in dry season, we would have definitely seen it because the water had been turned off all the way back at Pelican Preserve Boulevard. That's the closest gate valve. So essentially if there's any break along tree line, they have to come all the way back to your entrance to turn off the irrigation water. Your irrigation system here also provides irrigation water to C5 across the street. So basically from your entrance all the way north and the monuments along tree line up to Colonial had no irrigation water for about a month. City of Fort Myers, I have to give kudos when kudos are due. Nathan was on top of them, making sure that they came out. Ameriscape was out there. We had some expenses with that because the city of Fort Myers needed assistance. You know, they did the repair, and then there was another break that they found right down the road, or a service line, etc. Finally, it's been repaired, but what that brought to light was, hey, we really need to look at this better and how to better manage this irrigation system and have less of an impact in there being a break anywhere down tree line. So I had asked Ameriscape to give us a proposal. They originally gave us a proposal to install like 5 gate valves along tree line. It was like a lot of money. I said, listen, I'm just trying to solve one problem. Give us a price on 1 gate valve past C5, north of C5. That way, God forbid something happen along tree line, C5 can still have water for their community. That is what this quote was. Since then, Yannabelle saw this on the agenda, sent me a note questioning why this committee was contemplating spending money on a HOA system. To my knowledge, we have not unraveled the bowl of spaghetti of irrigation, but they have since said that the HOA is willing to and will be paying for this gate valve. I said, okay, great, thank you. Send me the documentation that you have that says that you own those mains. She sent me your HOA documents. I've since sent that to our attorney. I will be frank, it is my opinion that just because they're in your HOA docs does not necessarily mean that they're yours. We need to go back and look at the conveyance documents and who received what. But that is what the attorney is going to be working on over this next year. But in the meantime, solving a problem. Gate valve needs to be installed past C5. The HOA is willing to pick up the cost. So they said, Annabelle said she would take it over. I said, thank you. So there is no action needed here.
The good news in that is somebody said it's fine.
Yes.
We've never had that.
Yeah.
Whether that's right or wrong, we'll figure out.
Yep.
Just as a note, Kathleen Anderson's trying to get up here. So those things that we need to vote, if she comes, you'll have a quorum, correct?
Yes.
4. Okay. She's
1. No, it's only 3. Yeah, I only have 2 right here. Still don't have a quorum.
4, 7.
I'll anoint you.
No.
So I'd like to say, give out a shout out to the staff who kept up this on the city of Fort Myers and got the sidewalk repaired pretty quickly. Because I know some of my neighbors use their golf carts to drive along that sidewalk to go get their medication at the Walgreens drugstore up there. So it's much appreciated that the staff stayed on top of this and got the city of Fort Myers to repair the sidewalk. So thank you.
I will relay the message. Thank you.
Yeah.
Chelsea, before we get into this, so that's the lights, monument lights. When I was trying to sort out all the metering and how everything worked, I see these are all that Vestodon lights. So there's a whole mismatch of photo cell controllers on some of these, and some of the monuments are on 24/7. Some of them are on photo cell controllers back at the breaker. So I assume as they do this, they'll be getting rid of those photo cell controllers and just use the photo cell on these. But I'd like to ask that as they do this, that they identify for each monument which metered service and which breaker on the panel is actually serving that monument. That's one of the big unknowns. I was able to identify 80% of them, but Sienna and the ones right there at the entrance, I wasn't able, even by turning off breakers, that I wasn't able to determine to see which ones were actually controlling those monument lights. There's a lot of questions about a lot of those services, what's going on. So just as they're going in and working on them, that's the time to say, hey, we had to turn off this breaker at this meter location to work on these lights.
Okay. All right.
One of the frustrations is, I'd like to segregate it all. This is for irrigation, you got your meter, this is for this, you got your, but that's not cost effective. I went down that road.
Yep.
We got a whole bunch of monthly bills of it.
This is Nancy. While I was sitting here, we think that stone up front on the monuments, not sure if all monuments, that one is terrazzo. They can be stained and sealed, but it's important to prepare the surface and use the right products. So I have to turn this back to the committee, because if you want to get in touch with some companies and get some quotes, it appears it can be done.
We can jump down and put that on for the next meeting's agenda.
Well, before your next meeting, would you like staff to try to reach out to one or two contractors, or does somebody from the committee want to take that on?
This is Sherry. I think we should have 3 painters get their opinions on painting that stonework.
So
But
would
the
some,
one said it was gonna peel. He said you cannot paint it.
I'm
So
talking about staining, I think.
I still would like 3 opinions.
so does somebody from the committee want to take that on?
I can't. My mom has cancer, so I have to go up and take care of her.
That's for next month.
I mean, if nobody from the committee wants to, I can designate a staff member to take that on. All right, hearing none, staff will try to get you 3 opinions by the next committee meeting. Okay. Right. Was there anything else before you want to move on to the draft RFP? Mark, can you guys see my screen online of the RFP?
I see a email.
Hold on. Let me stop sharing and reshare. Did I go back? Maybe there it is. Okay. All right. Is everybody ready? Okay. So this is what we've done, how we got to where we are today, is we took your existing contract, we took the district's most recent RFP that we just did for Mainscape to resolicit a contract or a landscape vendor for the district. And we took your previous RFP and we merged them all together. So through this document, you'll see we've tracked the changes. Ultimately, a lot of everything you see strike through and underline are the changes. A lot of this is boilerplate items that are required by the district, like a lot of forms and such. The main part that I need this committee to focus on is the scope and the detailed specifications. So I don't like looking at it in all markup because it's a lot. So I like looking at it simple. Anything highlighted in yellow is for my contracts manager that he needs to plug in dates and times. We have to put together the timeline. How this will work, we'll have to figure out who is going to be on the selection advisory committee. I would anticipate all of this committee and one staff member. If the committee wishes to have a PPCA representative on it, that's the purview of the committee. I've seen that done with the access control contract. Totally the purview of the committee. Once this goes out, I call it out to bid or out on the street. Once it's solicited and we're waiting for vendors to respond and bid, everybody's under a cone of silence. You cannot speak to anybody. You cannot speak to any existing vendor. You can't speak to anybody. You just defer them to the district contracts manager. Our contracts are typically a 3-year contract with 2 one-year renewals. Another conversation that this committee needs to have is you can do it one of 2 ways for the pricing. You can have, like you do now, incremental pricing, allow the contractor to do year 1, year 2, year 3 pricing, or a 3-year chunk, it's one price per year, if that makes sense. It's the same price. They can't increase their price. The optional renewals, we typically do, they can do up to a 3, but no more than 5% increase. Again, this committee will have to make that decision. As we go through here, again, a lot of these I call them front end documents, are just our typical contractual obligations and requirements that we have. You're more than welcome to go through it and make any comments or edits. If there are those, our attorney will have to review those. But for the most part, this part 2 statement of work is really where I need your feedback from this committee. So again, merging all 3 of those documents. This is where we would start. So I don't know if you want to go paragraph by paragraph.
How big was the form for?
You're 50 some pages. You guys had a 50 some page document before. 85.
That was mainly for just
The required forms that we have to have.
from the district.
Yes. And some of the things at the back, like, I mean, you don't have to require an organizational chart. It's nice to have to see, so you know the chain of command, the schedule. I mean, you can make those. We put those as exhibits here at the very end. You don't have to make those exhibits as part of this. You can just tell the vendor, you have to submit this by 30 days after award of the contract, and then they'll just give you whatever they give you. But I like to give examples of what we're looking for, so that's why we've got some additional pages there at the end. So if you guys want to go paragraph by paragraph, just similar to what safety and security did, we can tackle it. Oops.
And any changes in what we're seeing, what we have highlighted?
It will, yes.
It will be.
It's highlighted in here. Any of the changes, I just turned on.
I didn't see any do the change.
Okay. Hold on. Let me go. I zoomed. I hit the wrong button. So if you click, you might not. I don't know what you.
I got the hard.
Okay. Did they print it with?
Doesn't have the colors.
Okay.
Some things are highlighted.
Okay. So I turned on all markup so you can see anything that's changed, anything that we've edited since then. Again, yellow has to be done by our contracts manager. So this will obviously, depending on when we push this out, the timeline of the agreement, but again, it's anticipated to be a 3-year with 2 one-year renewals. Are we all in agreement with that? Okay. And then one thing that we put in here is the, with the renewal, if the vendor wants an increase, that up to 3, but not more than 5%, within 6 months prior to the end of the initial 3-year period, they must submit that in writing to us. No increase will exceed 3 to 5. You guys can choose to change that. You can choose to eliminate that. It's totally up to you. Exactly. Okay. This is somewhat new. So prior to each renewal period, the committee will evaluate the vendor by April 1st. So that way, I mean, I would hope that you would give them feedback
We're gonna
monthly.
evaluate them every month.
Yeah, exactly. But more formal process before April 1st. Again, looking for your direction to keep that in or remove it. Okay. So that review form is at the very bottom in part 7C, and we will get to that, and you can, again, edit that review form as you see fit. We are working on having clean maps using the Passarella website to attach here. That way, in the event that, it doesn't go to Ameriscape, if it goes to Joe Schmo's landscaping, if you have a new vendor coming in, they have to be able to know the site. This all, yeah, this all was removed. The Florida friendly and drought tolerant. This was not in your guys' original. It was in the districts, but that was all removed. I believe I put it.
Can I ask why it was removed? I don't recall the conversation.
I believe I put it down further in the actual detailed specifications, but we'll double check when we get there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, here's our detailed specifications. Anything in green, I need you to super focus on. So do we still want to do 42 service events?
Is that the norm?
That is what is in your existing contract.
And we've always had.
That covers pretty well everything.
The norm.
And are we good with all of the services to be included?
Is the district project lead
Or,
chairman?
or designee, yeah. So if it's Mark or if Mark's out, it's their designee.
Seems like everything is in there. I can see. I can think of anything else that's excluded.
Trash removal. Maybe we should fold that. Sorry.
There's 42 service events, what you have with the Mainscape contract in your other areas?
I'll have to get back to you on that. I'm not 100% sure. I have to go back and look and at what we had proposed.
Well, I think what we've had in the past was adequate for what our needs are. So I guess unless you have other knowledge that would dictate otherwise, I would probably go ahead and stick with the 42.
So the only thing that I would, that if I made a change, if I would recommend a change, the change I would put is don't specify a number. I would say that they must meet all of the contractual requirements of the upkeep of the community.
Drop to 42.
And then that way it's vague, but
Yeah, that could work against us too.
I was gonna say.
it could, but so could
Yeah,
42, because if they come to December and they've already given you 42 and you still have a month left. So either way, it's something to ponder. I mean,
We've had a lot of years. Not an issue. I hear what you're saying.
so I'm fine with keeping 42. Okay. Are you guys good with continuing with BMPs for Florida Green Industries?
I have to go to Franz eye care after this.
I try to zoom in as much as I
Well,
can.
That's why my laptop. Yes.
Is there much change with Florida best practice?
No, and honestly, like we just as a perfect example, we had some discrepancies with Mainscape about Bahia, and they referenced Bahia. They referenced this about cutting Bahia, and it was kind of a this for that, this or that. But either way, we were protected because we referenced that and we held them accountable to that. So it's just another layer of protection. Okay. And then now we go into general categories of the just, and again, this can be overkill, or it can be, you guys can remove as much of it as you want. So we can just go paragraph
But
by,
it's all, this is all, always been there.
yes.
Where can we see what the FDOT, TTC certified staff level is?
We can Google it, but, it's your temporary traffic control. So anytime that they park on the side of the roadway, they should be following, those specifications.
I understand that I never see anybody follow it to my
Exactly,
knowledge.
yeah.
I've never seen it either, and I'm wondering what that means. This be Joe Blow on their crew that happens to train?
The individual-
Or would that be an individual?
The individual person would have the training.
Doesn't add cost.
If they're blocking a roadway, they should really be following the
Well, I agree with that.
MOT. If, I don't know if their staff already have it, truth be told. And there could be additional cost for them to send their staff to go get these these.
And
If they don't,
There's an accident,
right.
it's more on.
that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It just throws the word liability on them. This was an accident.
You're all gonna get drugged into it.
Yeah,
So
still, it's a drive.
did everybody have a chance to look at this section? Does anybody have any additional comments on this section? So we've got plantings will be kept 4 to 6 inches away from all curbs, multimodal paths and sidewalks.
And cypress. It's just their trimming schedule. They go wild. I mean,
The comment really is just to make sure that that they're held to their contract.
yes.
So if nobody has any other issues with the visibility and safety section, we'll continue on.
Mhm.
So worked area preparation and inspection. Give you guys a second.
Anybody ever seen them put a ramp up? Rather than
Yes,
going over-
zero.
Right.
They just go backwards, pop up, and they're on. They climb up with the lawnmowers. It's their decks they're wrecking.
I love the third paragraph. I think that's great. However, I don't think they follow it.
Well, yesterday on Pelican Boulevard, they were weeding an area and they left a pile from yesterday with possible 50-mile-an-hour winds coming. And it's still there this morning.
Just don't get it.
They weeded
They
it, but they
still
didn't
doing
take
a
it.
quality check on Fridays.
I think I heard him say that that he does that on Fridays at the end of the week of picking up. So tomorrow's your day.
They had a different follow.
Anybody have any over that section before I scroll on?
More of that is just check and balance, check and balance.
So this last one, I think, Mark, chime in, please. I think one of the conversations too that we had, in talking, the beauty of having, a contractor now is you can talk to them about any issues or qualms that they have with the contract. Or, I guess fire ants have been a big issue here, and, they treat, but then the ants just moved here. One of the things that he suggested in our meeting, in our call, was to do like a broad treatment of the community. Of our common areas of our stuff, and then that way we're covered. I think he called it arenas. There's a comment in here I think I put, but again, something to think about. So safety on here. Oops, sorry.
So, contractors should, perform inspections on all trees and palms. So they're gonna inspect the palms for like weevils and stuff like that, disease.
If you leave it in here, yes.
So if they don't, what happens? If there's a palm tree that ends up with weevils and it dies, so who's responsible for replacing it? Taking out, replacing, is it their responsibility? Because they're supposed to be inspecting it?
I wouldn't think so because trees get diseased and they die and there's nothing you can do about it. So, and they have been pretty good about pointing out if there are trees that are in need of some kind of assistance. And then we go forward from there. But for
But
instance,
even if you do everything right, you're still dying.
Yeah.
Well, I have a palm tree in my neighborhood that all of a sudden it started dying over the summer, right? Nobody said anything. I went up and there's holes in it and it's weevils. So the palm tree is dead, but talking to my landscaper, he said, if we would have caught it 2-3 months ago, we could have saved it. So that's why I'm
That's a
saying
pretty
this,
gray area.
that's why I'm saying here, if we catch it early on some of these trees, you know.
But how can you prove they didn't catch it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to be devil's
I'm with
advocate.
you, I'm with.
I'm just trying to save money where we can and, you know, we're gonna put it in there, but really, you know. It's just.
Well, I think the point of having it in there is to get ahead, to try to get ahead.
Absolutely.
And so if you require that, you know, as that they should notify you of any of that, maybe it's the monthly report that they provide, you know,
Mhm.
they have to provide you the wet check, they have to provide you the inspections of the trees, or if that's quarterly, you guys get to essentially decide that.
And when we break up into zones,
Yeah.
we can make a checklist. Check
Absolutely.
trees, check this, check covers, check whatever.
And I can make up this stuff. I'm really
Okay.
good
The other
at
side
that.
of this thing is, contractors can read it, you're gonna hold them accountable. Oh, every little dot the I cross the T, and I'm okay with that. You're gonna pay for it in the bid. You're gonna pay for it in the bid. He's not gonna go in there and lose money. But just, you know,
Well, the way I look at it is that we need to draw on Mariscape until their contract ends. So lids need to be replaced. Everything we need to do under their contract, we need to get done. And then hopefully we have a fresh start with the new vendor. And of course, there's going to be some things that are going to fall over. But, you know, at the end, it's about the beautification of our neighborhood. And we have to bring it back up to where it was 20 years ago. It's been neglected for a while. And we're doing the right thing.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Absolutely.
You guys want to move on to crew size?
Mhm.
I'm going to change do you want, so here's a conversation we can have. I can put property, or once you establish your zones, we can just attach that on here and say zone A, zone B, zone C, zone, and so we can leave it as under zones, or I can leave it, just put entire property.
we'd like to make mention that will be zoned,
Yeah,
so they don't say you're hitting something.
okay. So is everybody good with the crew size? Basically, we're saying, hey, you gotta provide the appropriate amount of staff to handle it. Okay. Crew?
Oh, good.
Now, I know some people have had contention with this one, and I won't say names, but they may be in this room.
Uh-oh.
You want to have them in
Is
a,
it our concern? Yeah. Well, rest.
No, but most of them have a safety vest on anyway.
They have the safety vests, and a lot of the women wear hoods and things. I mean, it's-
Yeah. You know who they are, where they're from.
Yeah, I would want them to be identifiable. I think that's great. I mean, because
mean,
there's
they-
so many different landscaping vendors you know? They come down the road, I don't know who's what. So I know Ameriscape, they're bright, like that greenish yellow. So I would have
Remember,
to
we're only
say,
talking about our areas.
I am.
So the ones from that are by an HOA, they
I,
don't have these
I
requirements.
sit there full time, I look out my window and if I see Ameriscape going down to Aviano Park, I open up the garage door to make sure they're doing what they need to do.
No, I know
However, I've
for-
got somebody across the street that's different, mine is different, so it's sort of, it's important to me.
I know for a fact Mainscapes, because they do Gateway and they do the street I'm on, their safety vests say Mainscapes.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I
I don't know, I've never actually.
Well, I'd rather have that. I'd be more comfortable with that than uniforms.
Yeah.
yeah, not uniforms, just shirts,
Yep.
just,
Yeah.
that's
So
what I'm
here,
talking about.
here, will this work? Shall be identifiable
Yeah.
Oh.
That-
Name and logo.
That's
Yeah,
great.
that sounds good.
by
that's perfect.
company name or logo. Is that everybody good with that?
No, we need the crew chief differently.
This is Nancy. I have one comment for your consideration. Most of the staff of landscapers do not speak English. The only person that speaks English is usually the supervisor and has to be knowledgeable.
Good luck.
You're jumping ahead.
Yeah, we're right there next.
I was doing this.
Crew.
Or crew chief.
Do you want them to have the crew chief being a different color or not?
That may change.
I don't even see them. It's usually the workers I see, so.
Because you don't know who he is. He's there.
And
Generally, a crew chief is actually working too.
And it changes every day.
Okay,
He's
we'll
not
delete it.
Sitting in
Yeah,
it.
just
He's not
delete
sitting in the truck enjoying the
All right.
AC. He's out working. He just happens to make $1 more.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
All right,
Doesn't matter.
now to Nancy's point.
So what's it qualified? I just wondered.
B, no.
Qualified?
We gotta recognize the labor pool dealing with
Mhm.
this.
I mean, that's generally not.
Well, I think you could read this. So qualified is meant to be more of the qualified crew leader supervisor, not qualified fluent speaking, English speaking.
Okay.
So fluent English speaking, qualified.
And if that becomes an issue, you just call an Ameriscape or put a ticket in. I'd like to talk to somebody that,
Too. I mean,
That I
like,
should understand.
well, I just put a ticket in.
that's all.
I don't talk to anyone anymore.
Okay,
We talk to us.
In all
Well, not to
honesty,
you, but I mean in the landscape.
go ahead, Bruce.
I think in all honesty, we're really picking, straws here. I mean, the way it was worded has worked fine to this point. I mean, all my interactions, both on the phone, through tickets, through Javier, we've never had a language dispute. So I really think, I mean, yes, the actual laborer may not speak, but if you ask them for their boss, they all know the word boss or jefe or whatever. It's not like we're really wasting time on a minor issue. If we, for the most part, any valid vendor, regardless if it was electrician, landscaper, painter, the boss always spoke English. So to start striking items from this subparagraph, I think is nonsensical, to be honest with you.
Probably overkill, but it's not anything negative with it.
It's not gonna change anything.
It's not gonna change anything, but if I'm the one looking at this contract saying, what's a qualified fluent English, what do I have to go to school or do I have to give you?
No,
So-
we took that out now.
So, yeah, so I think this is important because Bruce, what you have dealt with and what I've dealt with is two different things. So I think this is fine, the way it's stated now.
Keep going.
Yes.
Next.
I have no problem with that. I'm just one voice.
Yeah, me too.
Big boys.
So a customer service request is submitted, a timely response is expected within 48 hours.
I think that's good work.
Their system gets back very quickly.
Okay,
The highlighted yellow line. I think at the monthly meeting,
correct.
there shall be no additional charges for attendance at the subcommittee monthly.
At any meeting, at
At
any
any-
meeting. I'd keep it to any meeting. What if you want him at the board of supervisor or PPAC? Maybe PPAC wants some.
It's part of having that contract. If I want to keep that contract, I go to meetings.
This would be the only meeting they should do. And they will to protect their own butts,
Mhm.
but anything, we got a lot of meetings as a community.
Oh, I'm not saying he would come to every single one, but
No, but I'm saying. You ask them to come to a meeting, they're not. But I'd like to make it recognize that they really need to devote resources to that. One opinion.
Are you saying monthly?
No.
If they would come
On
to
request.
the monthly, yeah, absolutely come to the monthly meeting,
Okay,
that's all.
This follows too, some of the, to meet, on site or within a call, to meet with this, it's not even these meetings, it could be just meeting with somebody out here over some issue.
yeah,
That's just, that to me, that's,
But I've never had them turn that down.
yeah.
But they don't come to this.
No, they don't. And I think for transparency and open communication, they should be here.
I do too.
I believe.
Should be able.
Well,
to-
okay, keep in, look, we're still under crew communication. So we're not talking about their attendance at this meeting yet. We're just talking about crew communication meeting, kind of to Ed's point, on site. And yeah, but it's never been explicitly stated that they couldn't charge us, so,
I think it's good we keep it in.
okay.
But do we address it somewhere else about them coming to this meeting? with
Yes,
everybody?
we incorporated that. We'll get to it.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, this next part's new.
Ooh,
This next part's new. I just want to, so please.
leave it like, okay, for a day.
So kind of to Bruce's point, I mean, he gave them high kudos that they responded within, 5 hours or even less. If they don't respond when we have a and we have an emergency and an irrigation's spouting like crazy, my personal opinion is until you hit a vendor in the pocket, you're not going to make any impact.
And $200 to this company means nothing.
Putting penalties in, you're gonna pay for it in the contract. They're gonna cover their butts. Have we had a problem that would warrant that?
It's not about having in the past, it's about preparing for the future.
Like-
You're under the assumption we're gonna have the same contract. I'm under the assumption that if I have a new vendor coming in, picking this document up, they need to know what our expectations are.
And new bidder is getting to form a relationship, a cooperative relationship. And you're putting in dollar amounts for his attraction. You gotta back off of that. Why go someplace where it's gonna be contentious and controversial, where we're supposed to be a team working together? Why would they not come when you need them? That's counter to what
So-
they're doing.
I understand where you're coming from. However, we know where Javier was. We asked, and then showed up. So there was nothing in the contract that we could hold his feet to the fire.
Well, I don't know who did the estimate, but I've never had it not come when I've been involved with it to do something.
I have numerous.
But again, they can't be responding to 13, 14 people, or 7 people, or I mean, that's Mark's job. If Mark is not getting the response, then that's appropriate, but it's not for Sherry to demand they come to a meeting or Vince or.
Oh, I'm not saying to a meeting.
Well, whatever, I mean, one person's opinion.
So, no, let's talk this through. So if I put in a service request and it's not done, and it's not done, and it's not done. So what are you gonna hold their feet to the fire on?
Terminate the contract. If they're not doing what we asked them to do.
That,
put
that,
them on notice.
well, this, okay, trying to bring us back. This is only for emergencies, emergency response right now. That is a different thing. We proposed a 3-strike system type thing. This is for emergency. So if they don't properly respond, which it's in their best interest to, but if they don't respond, there's a $200 infraction. Do you want to keep that in or not?
Who decides what's an emergency?
That's a common sense question, I think. Just like going back to my original point, if a sprinkler's been running for a minimum of 48 hours, that's an emergency. I mean, a sprinkler head that is malfunctioning one out of a zone, yes, that could wait for the next business day. But something that I've been told had been running for 48, maybe even 72 hours, that's an emergency. So for us, I think it's just a judgment call.
Yeah, see this is all subjective, and I'm not
Correct.
saying what you
Correct.
did was wrong or anything, but it's all very, okay, 2 sprinklers is not an emergency, 7 is, but this is just going down a long road.
This is Sherry. Do we have a definition of an emergency call in this contract? I'm looking for it right now.
I don't believe so, but you can define what that is.
I don't want it defined. But is there a definition?
No.
Okay, so it's open-ended.
This is Nancy. Has there ever been a situation where our landscape contractor has not responded to an urgent call to the urgent number?
I have had that experience with Mainscape. Their people did not respond and my utility staff had to go turn off the irrigation system. So it's not, that's my point is you have it in, you're covered, you don't have it in, you're.
The chances of you hitting them, they're so minimal. That, I mean, why would they split a dime over a $200 phone call response?
Yeah.
I don't.
So I can highlight this and we can come back to this at your next meeting if you guys want to continue talking about it.
Because the other side of that is we're asking, other residents to use, ticket systems if they see a situation. If somebody had taken it up upon themselves to put a ticket in or call the emergency number at Meriscape or Gateway, it would be up to the vendor to decide, I think, what's considered an emergency. And shame on them if they didn't recognize that a sprinkler running for 48 hours wasn't an emergency. So we have to define who makes that call. Is it a ticket to a vendor, a phone call to a vendor, or is it Mark speaking on behalf of everybody? I think that needs to be defined also.
Well, I believe it says in here that telephone or emergency email. Those are the forms of communication. But again, we can further define this at your next meeting once everybody's here, hopefully in the
We're
room.
trying to develop a cooperative relationship, not an adversarial, but, oh, I got you. Give me $200.
All right, moving on.
Really fine with an emergency.
Good luck with that.
I hear 48 hours, 72 hours, 24 hours.
Can anybody ever tell me an emergency that wasn't addressed?
Is it a water main break?
You walked out, but I had an issue with Mainscape last year, and utility staff had to go out and turn it off because irrigation was spewing.
So onesie and 15.
Okay, moving on. Weekly work, contractors' weekly work. Oops.
We get that now?
No, we get it by monthly. Oh, on the district side, we get weekly.
Well, I didn't mark.
Mark, do you know what they're gonna do each week, or do you get a monthly report?
Monthly.
Okay, so the question,
But that's monthly what was done, not monthly what they're gonna do. All right,
Correct, correct.
this is what they're gonna do.
going to do, yes. And we get that on the district side with Mainscape,
So do we on our street. We get a monthly before they do it.
a monthly before. So do you want, I guess really this goes to Mark's, if you're the main contact, would you like a weekly work ahead or would you rather have a monthly work ahead?
Probably weekly.
Okay. And by Friday morning at 9, or would you rather have it on like a Monday?
Either way is fine.
Okay, well, we can leave it status quo then. All right, moving on. No other comments on that one? So this was new on the district side, but I think we need to implement it on your side. So this quality assurance meeting, going to Bob's point about a partnership, we call them the partnership meeting, quality assurance meetings, quarterly. That is a formal meeting that we have with Mainscape. They schedule it. All of their irrigation, their agronomists, our PM, the main office. They all come into the district office and we sit and we just, what's going, what's good, what's bad, what's ugly. I would recommend that you implement this quarterly at a minimum.
Does the president of the landscaping committee, does he attend those meetings? Or is it just with Gateway?
This is just on the Mainscape side. We don't have this in the contract right now. But they every time we've asked for a meeting, Fabian has been more than welcome to open to come.
Okay.
But putting this in the contracts, knowing that we expect a quarterly formal meeting, I would suggest if you want to reduce that or increase that, that's totally up to you. But I think quarterly.
Mark, is this something that you would like to do?
It wouldn't hurt.
Part of
Yeah.
it. Part of it.
Actually, what I would propose that this become one of our regular monthly meeting, or do it quarterly, but put it in one of our monthly meetings.
Great.
And have them, and instead of having the court, just have it be on quarterly on your agenda.
Yeah.
Correct.
Sounds great.
That way, everybody has a chance to talk to them that wants to, and it's not just one or two people.
Good. All right. So this one, it's on a requested basis. The pest control licensee. Oh, well, okay. So this, I can delete this. Will attend at a minimum one landscape subcommittee meeting quarterly. I mean, that's redundant kind of with the QA above. So I'm going to delete that if everybody's okay with that. Okay. Quality check rides will be performed twice a month in all areas with a landscaping committee member. Or do we want to say landscaping committee chair or designee?
Leave it at that. Get the 6 people.
Or you rotate, you could rotate.
One person.
Okay.
That one that you deleted,
Uh-huh.
maybe we should change it to be more of a contractor, maybe representative, maybe invited to other subcommittee meetings or whatever.
Okay. May be invited to attend. Attend
Additional.
additional Licensing subcommittee meetings, but is not obligated. Obligated. That way they know it could be requested, but they're not obligated to attend. Going back to,
People for
yeah. Okay.
This is Nancy, I'm sorry that to me, because you have the number 1 in there.
Oh, sorry, didn't miss to delete that one. Additional landscape subcommittee meetings. It's not, okay. This is kind of redundant from above. Did I have a comment? Oops. Are we good with that one? Kind of redundant, but doesn't hurt to make it clear as its own headline. All right, we have 9 minutes. We'll keep rolling, keep going.
Yeah.
Repairs, damages.
Does that include the boxes?
Yeah, by contractors, employees within 24 hours, all expenses incurred shall be the contractor's responsibility to make the necessary
Put that
repairs.
in there specifically,
Including all,
Okay, all expenses incurred.
irrigation.
An example being irrigation box lids damaged by lawn mowers, damaged by mowers. By,
Equipment.
I think that's
the
covered,
weed whackers, not the
Yeah.
daylights out of them too.
that's covered in the irrigation factor.
all right, parking. This one's gonna be a sticking point.
Really?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Yeah, or damage of the roadway because their vehicles leak.
Okay, I was only talking,
Yeah, well, they,
I didn't know.
Yep, that was an issue we
On the
did
wrong
have.
side of the road, that's illegal. They'll park on the side where oncoming, you know.
Yeah.
Park with traffic.
okay. Are we good? Keep going? Okay.
Yep.
No, that's all standard before.
Now, the conversation that we had, Mark, Fabian and I had was trying to work through, especially with, you have new committee members, you guys you're trying to bring potentially new plants to the community. And if it dies, they're required to replace it. The conversation we had was if they've replaced it once, meaning the plant has died twice now, the conversation we had was equal or comp in price, but a different plant, because we're not going to keep making them replace the same plant that's going to keep dying.
If that plant's not gonna live there.
Yes. So Mark and Fabian or whomever it is would meet on site. They'd look and say, okay, that plant cost about $30. We're going to give, here's what we suggest is a comparable plant that we think will work in this area. That's approximately $30. So we'll have to memorialize that in here somewhere. So I'm just going to add a note. Plant replacement after dying twice, comp money. Okay. All right.
Hey, Chelsea,
Yep.
what is your memory on how we resolved the fact that Fabian came up with a list of plants and he goes, these are the ones that we like that we'll happily put in and replace if anything happens. But that list of plants, there are other plants that we would like to use. How do we go about getting approval for other plants to be put in and covered under warranty? Do we
So-
just go to plant by plant or what?
So Ameriscape tried to push what they had as an approved plants list. Nowhere in our existing contract does that list, is it in there? So we can request if you want a banana tree or if you want a cocoa plum, or if there are no limitations. There are none. How the contract is written right now. But that kind of leaves us in that gray area of, we've tried a banana plant in this spot 2 times, it's dead. Ameriscape, it's not, I don't think it's fair to keep holding them to the replacement requirement. And then they'll probably go to that list and say, okay, these are what we know works in Pelican. That's just,
Put this in the end with pays.
yeah. So
I understand that, but there are like species of copperleaf, which they don't put on their list. So right now you're saying those would still be covered as long as they're willing to plant them?
you have no limitations, Mark, none.
All right. All right.
All right. You guys want to finish this section and then save the next one? Oh, there's the Florida friendly and drought tolerant plant. I told you I moved it. It's been a while since I looked at this thing. All right. Is this a good stopping place? And then we'll take up turf maintenance next time. I'm
Yep.
just gonna highlight this.
We hope to have this out.
Soon, very soon. I would say, I think November. So access control, safety and security, they dedicated a whole meeting only for this. They scheduled outside of their normal meeting only to look at their access control contract. I strongly recommend you do that. Just because we want to finalize this and get this out on the street.
Continue this meeting
You
so that could be done.
You could, as long as this room's available. We only have to have a week's notice to put the agenda out. So if Mark or Vince, you guys want to coordinate, or if anybody wants to coordinate the room, if you guys want to have it here, you're always welcome to come over to the district office. And if the room isn't available, I know that's not convenient, but it's always there. But if you guys want to try to set up something in between now and your next meeting, I would say let's talk about that now.
Membership availability.
That's the other
But
problem.
we can call in because we're not
No,
voting on,
if you want to vote on something, we got.
but we have to vote on this, the final one.
Yeah.
But if we do a workshop before the next meeting, continue talking about this.
Yep.
Then end of October meeting, we can approve the final contract. Is that something we want to do?
You guys just have to tell me a date and time, and somebody needs to coordinate the meeting room if you're going to have it here.
Bart, when are you back?
I will not be back till approximately our October meeting. My daughter's got to have the baby.
Aw.
Okay, October. Okay.
I mean,
October 12th is her due date, if that helps.
No, that doesn't help.
We'll keep it to her.
So if you want to wait until end of October, when's your guys' next meeting? The end of October?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or you can just
4:30.
see if we can schedule this room longer or switch with safety and security on the timing and see if you can, or have it at the other office.
So hopefully we'll have a quorum.
He'll be back October 11th. I don't know that he'll be here that day.
The 24th is the next meeting, so hopefully we'll have a quorum in order to vote.
Did we know we didn't have a quorum today?
No.
I was going to call in just because I got to get things going for my mom. And then I've got a call from Georgia. She emailed me. She said, please, can you show up in person to have a quorum? And I said, absolutely, I'll be down. So
We weren't from a staff perspective, we weren't sure from the last meeting. Yeah, we thought there was going to be a quorum. That's why we continued to host it. But
At the last meeting, there were 4 members that said yes.
and I was one of the 4. I think you were.
That didn't work out.
So I came with intent being the person to make the quorum today. So that's
Okay, we're
where we're at.
Just so you know, I'll be back around the 13th of October. If that helps.
okay.
Our call it the development order with the state that this was all developed under, it has certain kind of people submitted in it. Do those only pertain to the initial development?
I believe so.
Subsequent- They have subsequent replacements, do they have to follow them as well?
I believe it was just part of the original requirements, but I will find out. I know like with our pond, obviously those, the DO on that, but I don't believe there would be any conditions for continuance of those things, but I'll do some homework on that.
So the Pelican Reserve Architectural Control has recommendations, list of plants, but it's not required, it's only recommendation. You can pick any plant you want.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully we will all continue. Just to wrap up real quick, I'll continue the contract draft, the monument lighting to the next meeting. Mark's going to handle 7A and 7C through his responsibilities as chair, and then D, PPCA is handling. Is there anything else that you'd like to see at the next landscape subcommittee meeting?
The Pelican Reserve Monument cul-de-sac spreadsheet should be in everything, we know that. Just let the whole group know where we are.
And are we gonna do the zones? At the
Yeah.
next month?
I will add that.
Get that going.
Zones map.
You have the proposal yet? You know what?
I was told not to. I had a proposal and I said, no, I was told at the committee meeting that the committee wants to sign.
Well, the committee will
zones.
decide, you got a straw man to throw out for consideration. That would-
Yeah, I could do that, but I won't be here. I'll give it to you. Because I'll be in Pittsburgh. Or I could give it to the district and they can present.
We
it.
can attach it to the agenda item if you send it to us.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Mark, did you have anything else?
Not at this time.
Good
Anybody,
luck with the baby.
anybody else? Hearing none,
Motion to it.
adjourn.
Adjourn.
All right.
Aye.
First meeting.
Aye, and aye.
Thank you.